How's it going, guys? Happy New Year. Can't wait to get into this. Going to discuss, there's been quite a few questions today talking about, and several days actually, talking about the compound pivot. So I want to go into a little bit more detail about that. Every single person that I teach this to seems to get this the quickest, along with the throwing motion. And so we're going to get into it right off the bat. All right. And feel free to leave comments. This is going to be questions and answers and all of that kind of stuff. I am doing a membership, I say drive, but I'm just going to give back for one day. And I'm going to try to reach the people that maybe couldn't quite afford the higher end lesson. So for 24 hours, going to be a little bit of a drive where if you put in the code save me money, that's what I'm going to do while I help your golf game. All right. So I'm going to get into this about, that's why I've got a stick here. Okay. So this is the easiest way to show this is that the stick will have what I call, and what Mike Austin will call, there's no wobble in the wheel. And you can see how the stick easily transfers back and forth. Well, how am I doing that? Okay. I'm not just turning my upper body, and I'm not making it go level. When you go level, your head has to move off the ball, and that loads weight into your right leg, but your leg has to bend to support the weight. So now you've got to do something to recenter, and your shaft in the golf club is going to be very much more around you this way, as your shoulder plane is much flatter. So how I do this is I will roll my right foot towards the target at setup. And we're going to go into a lot of detail today. We're going to talk about exactly a 2-arm measurement and why that's so important to do. So you will set up, your right ankle and foot will roll inward, which straightens your left leg. That's going to be your setup. Then from here, your left ankle and foot rolls, which pushes the pelvis over, straightens the leg, and keeps the head on center while the body can now rotate. And you can see how far I can move my shoulders and my spine. So then when I push my right foot down, that straightens my other leg, and now there's no what I call wobble in the wheel. So that is how I'm doing this. I'm doing this with feet, knees, and pelvis. And you don't just move your pelvis just by your pelvis. You move it with your, you don't just move it with your knee. You have to move it with your foot. Your foot then releases the knee releases the pelvis then makes the torso move, and there's your golf swing. So this is one of the most critical things that I think people can do, and it's real easy to get a stick and see that if you keep your shaft level, the stick level, that's going to move your head. You can clearly see how my head's moving. And when I do this, how my head stays right on center, and that 7th cervical of your spine is like the hub of a wheel, right? So that is probably one of my favorite drills completely. And then we'll talk about the 2-arm measurement. The left hand and arm hangs from your side, and this angle doesn't change. Now your hand will change like a compass, like this, compared to where you're holding the golf club, if it is a driver or a wedge or an iron, okay? But this doesn't change. And so to get into it, you're going to have your right knee and foot roll ever so slightly inward to allow the right hand to then have room to get on the golf club, okay? So it's, most people do it this way, okay? So hope you can see that pretty clear. So let's go with the chat. Yeah, here we go. People can say hello, I believe. I should be good to go, okay? So from right here, you can see how I'm level. Well, that's not what I want. I want to be under. And the way to be under is to take not the pelvis open, but to roll the foot and move the knee just like that. And that's what sets your hand now under. Now, I've seen people overdo this. What they'll do is they literally then push the knee way in and their head back, and that's not what I want you to do. It's not anything more than just enough to get your hand under. And now you'll see that my spine's this way. But really what that does is that sets me up now to move my spine in this manner. Okay? So the left arm then will just go along for the ride while the feet, knees, and hips move the golf club. See? So when I shift my right foot and roll my right foot and set a support post on my left leg, now here's my lag that I have. And then from here, I now can unwind. So hope you guys can see that. Let's see where everybody's at. Thanks, man. So two-hand measurement is really interesting. And I want to get into that. And I really haven't got into it in too many videos. But there is a lead and a lie on a golf club. And so with a wedge, the way the thing is designed is to lean more forward. So you're setting that measurement up with your hand. And I'm going to come in a little closer so you guys can see this. So my hand is here. Well, with a wedge, the shaft is back a little bit. Well, I can't keep this same grip. This grip will actually turn like this, okay? So when it turns, so your grip is going to be a little bit stronger in your left hand when you have a wedge. And again, the two-hand measurement, so your right hand and knee goes under. So your wedge would be more like this. And your driver was going to be, it's going to be a, well, say weaker, but it's not weaker. See how my arm hangs here? That's where the shaft would be with a driver. And here's my arm hanging here. And then there's the lead and the lie with a 5-iron and a wedge. You won't hear that much, okay? Because most people, what they'll do is they put the golf club over the shoulder and just put it straight down. And when you do that, you don't really have a two-hand measurement. You're really pretty level. So when the right hand goes this way, now you're a little bit more set on a bias where now your pelvis can now go this way and this way. Where when you set up level, it's real easy now. You can only just go to the side. And so that's the difference in the compound pivot. And you've got to set this up for a compound pivot. So you've got to set the pelvis under, because if you're not here, then you can't do this motion, which is the walking motion or the compound pivot, and which makes the spine move and keeps your head on center. It's the only way to keep your head on center. You can keep your knee the same flex, but if you keep your knee the same flex, you're going to move your head over here, right? And so really simple to see. And you can see how my head stays right here, okay? Like that. So this will be interesting to see while the questions are going to come from this, because this two-hand measurement right here, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be back here like this. I'm not telling you to do that. It's just slight and it's just a little bit, but that's how you then activate the feet and knees and hips to set the two-hand measurement to then be able to create a whip. Hey, Michael. Thank you. Ipsy, hi. Hey, Rich. Yep, finding this very beneficial. Thanks, man. What about bracing the front foot? The front foot. So you're talking about this foot. So the right ankle and the right foot rolls, which sets the pelvis and sets the entire spine here. So now the body can't turn anymore. And when the body can't turn anymore, that is the deceleration process. The whole body stops, and now the golf club can accelerate and whip through. So that's the most efficient way of a compound pivot. The other way, and I've talked about this before, is what people try to do, and long drive guys, and hey, this is another way of doing it, is that they push down so hard, like a squat, that then the ground pushes them back, and that straightens the leg, and then the club whips, right? The only problem with that is you have to time that, 1. 2, you're going to be going up, down, up, where when you make a compound pivot like so, and you shift your weight over to your left to have a brace, your head stays centered, so therefore your arc stays the same, and so you create a circle. You can find all 10 balls in the fairway instead of just 1 out of 8 or 10 for maximum distance. Hope that helps. Now, the other thing is that when you set up, your pelvis has got to be at a 30-degree angle. So how do you do that? Is from here, your xiphoid process to your pubis bone can't shrink, right, like this, or extend. And so what you're going to do is your butt's going to go back to where you feel the butt back behind here, and you've got an active knee flex. And then from here, now you can see how easy it is to move my legs and my hips. If I bend my spine more than that, which is 1 o'clock basically. So if I'm at 12 o'clock right here, give or take, my spine's at 1 o'clock. When my spine's at 1 o'clock, now I can move. That's 30 degrees. Okay. And also, a lot of people think like I'm talking about early extension in the pelvis and the hips. That is not the case. And I'm going to put my butt right behind the screen right here. Okay. So you can kind of see, like, there it is, right? So when I make my backswing, watch what happens. So there's my right leg straightening. There's my compound pivot. Now, people think I'm doing this. That's not what I'm doing. Watch this. My right foot rolls, my left foot goes, and you can see how my left leg is straightened and my butt is back, and I'm against that screen the same way, and then the golf club whips through. So I'm not coming away from my spine. I'm not goat humping or anything like that. Okay. And that's how you can, so when your pelvis works this way, can you see how my butt goes back? Well, my butt goes back because my knee is going towards the center line, and that straightens my left leg. See, and that sets the brace for the club to whip. And yes, the club does whip. Don't fool yourself. For a maximum speed, when this gets here, this is where my lag is. Okay? Now, that's a lot of lag, and here's what's a cool part about this. My arm never leaves my torso. So this is not ever doing this. So all I'm doing is creating a brace point from my right foot to my left foot to have a pendulum release. Now watch. There's that. My arm just went along for the ride. Okay? So from right here, when I shift my right foot back over to my left, look at my arm advance. And I set the brace. And right here, you can't help it. Centrifugal force will just whip and then come on through. I'm not thinking about whipping. I'm not thinking about backhand, and I'm not actually thinking about throwing. I understand that. My last video was talking about where your hand arming is, all that kind of stuff. So if you watch this is pretty cool. If you get up here to the top and I take this away, you'll see that my hand and arm is in a throwing position. So if I took my hand and arm and just went into a throwing position and I'm in the correct position, you'll see that my spine had to make the compound pivot. Now, if you make a compound pivot and you have passive hands and arms, then you don't even have to worry about winding your hand up or unwinding your hand in an active throwing position. It just happens automatically. That's how I like to play golf. When I actively throw, I can move this sometimes more than what my torso. So the machine in me just wants me to roll my feet and have the arm follow my torso and then create this right here. And this is the money right here, because now all my weight is right here and I can't turn anymore, and I don't want to. That's the brace. That's the deceleration to allow the club to whip through. That's you up and down? Yeah, sorry about that, Michael. That's all right. But and it's powerful, right? But now you're dealing with, and the only reason why is because anytime that somebody tells you to keep your leg the same flex, then you're going to load your weight into it, but then you have to kind of push up off of that leg and then push back down into a squat like that. And then from there, then come up, right? And there's world-class players that do that. Rory does it. So I'm not sitting there saying that it doesn't work. It's just you're not Rory, and he had to do that. He's done that basically his whole life. Is it as efficient as a compound pivot? No, it's not. I don't care. I'm not trying to pee on anybody's Wheaties, and I'm not a basher of any golfer or anything of that nature. Try not to. I just try to show the differences of how the joints move and how a golf pro moves, and one that's more efficient or one that's more powerful. You're welcome, Michael. Yeah, thank you. And if you guys didn't catch that first part of it, I'm doing a membership big drive for people that maybe couldn't afford the full sessions, 24 hours. It is the code, I think, is Save Me Money. So trying to give back to the game. I had a very, very touching email or a comment from a person that said basically I changed their whole life and the way that they play golf. So, and I know golf is life. So for lots of us. So I really enjoy that, and that's the reason why I do this, is to give back. And so that's the reason why I'm doing this drive, just to try to help people that maybe couldn't afford that way, but then you can really get locked in on a nice low rate for the membership site, and then you can buy as many Zooms as you want at the lower rate just for these 24 hours. Do you like the comparison of the golf swing to throwing the club down the fairway? Yeah, you can. I mean, it just depends. I've done both. So for me, like I just said, swinging like I'm walking is the compound pivot, and my hands and arms are passive and they move faster. I've looked at it before. I think my highest was when I was swinging like I walk. I think my highest is like 142. And then when I'm throwing, it's about 135 or 6, just because what happens when I actively throw is I'm having to put muscular force in a way first. And when I do that, it kind of sets it just a little bit this way and then active. Whereas now I will say this though, when you're hitting short shots, and if you're throwing, you can slow the left breaking of the wrist down a little bit and extend the arm a little bit further, and that keeps the club face square longer, and you can then control maybe distance a little bit that way, a little bit better. Once you set a walking motion in, then it really and man, it's a great question, and I hope I'm answering this right, or where you guys can understand it. I know it's right, but when you make the walking or the compound pivot motion, what happens is then it's the length of the pendulum swing. So if I make a walking motion like say so, and say that's an 8-iron, and I come through, it's going to whip, but it's not going to whip as fast. Where all of a sudden, if I did that same 8-iron motion and I'm here, which is like super flexible, I could hit it, 30, 40 yards further. And it's the speed of the length of the swing and the timing that makes it go far, the certain distance, where sometimes that's hard to judge. All of a sudden you can go, oh shit, I hit it 20 yards further than I'm supposed to. Whereas when you throw, you can control the speed just with your arm. So it's not as powerful, but it might be a little bit better timing if you practice that. I hope that makes sense. Do a back. I'm not. No, I can't do a backflip. I appreciate that, but no, that'd be awesome if I could. Never been able to do that, I don't think. Even though I practice some gymnastic skills from time to time. Yeah, I'm not a gymnast. I have been working with this thing called a Rotex Motion, which I think is wonderful, and it's really helped my flexibility and strength. And I also had a tendency to shear my lower back, and that made my glute and hamstring a little bit stronger. So I look up Rotex Motion. I do like his stuff. Would be good to see you hitting balls on a range. Yes, agreed. I will in the summer. I promise. Spring, summer coming up with some of the launch monitors to get the numbers. Yep. sometimes. Yep, I am. I don't even technically. I don't even have a set. I don't even have a set of golf clubs right now. I literally just traded mine in from Strixon, and my new ones are on the way. I think the next time I get to play golf is February. The funny thing is, you guys think I play golf all the time. I played 6 total rounds last year, and 3 of those was 3-hole playing lessons that added up to some rounds, and the other ones were when I was out of town in a scramble playing the white tees. So to say I have a handicap for play golf, I know how to, and I play well, and all of that. But I'm trying to now, impart this. Right? Don't feel bad. I mean, I spent 10 years on cruise ships. I played off and on mini tours. I had probably 25 to 30 years of just goofing off and playing golf all the time. So now I have a career where I'm trying to help people and make a little bit of money in the process. So, but I do have the full swing golf simulator that I use here in my condo in the winter, and I will use that at the driving range with my lessons because it's an indoor outdoor travel thing, which is awesome. So I'm really looking forward to using that. I haven't really had that process for that. Now, a lot of people don't really care about their numbers as much as if they just want to make solid contact and they can tell if they're hitting the ball further. But it does give validation to those kinds of things. So I will be adding some more playing this next year or this year. Is 96-mile-an-hour good enough, or shall I try to work on speed? Yeah. Well, first of all, I am not sure if you're playing white tees or if your golf course is short, and 96 miles an hour accurate, is close to a 240-yard carry, and it can roll out to 260 if you have the right spin rate. It's been proven that the further that you hit a golf ball, the lower your handicap. That's a true fact as far as stats go. That doesn't mean that you could be a really good golfer on a short golf course and be okay. I would like you to have more speed. Usually, what that shows me then is there's a deficiency in movement because or strength or flexibility or some kind of timing or something like that. Because most people should be able to swing, faster than that. But that probably is the average, believe it or not. When I worked at Edwin Watts, I would say it was 90 to 90, 92, 93 miles an hour. So 96 is maybe even slightly above average. You're welcome. Yeah, PXG clubs. Yeah, that's fine. I'm on Strixon staff. Love Strixon, and I got a UST deal where they do my shafts and stuff. So Strixon and UST is what I use. I don't have any bias towards any golf clubs. I think that if you get any of the top, 5, 6, 7 name brands, that you can't go wrong with any of them. I think it's the swing that's the deal. You can give me a lady set of golf clubs and I'll still go out and shoot par just because my golf club is swinging like a pendulum. So I'm not putting pressure on the side of the shaft. So I can just play a whippy club. I've done it before with go out with a lot of times. I even go out when I'm doing a playing lesson. I just play with whatever clubs that the person I'm giving a lesson, it's not about me. It's about trying to help them. Hello from Knoxville. Do you use the same weight shift? Yep. You have shown. Yep. No, you're okay. That's okay. Yep. So TJ, yes, I do. Yes. So even if even that's what I was trying to say. So even if I'm just winding up the throw, and I put my hand and arm here, you'll see my left knee went towards the ball, and my right. Well, you can see my shirt. See, my pelvis is, and I wear the shirt untucked for a reason like this, so you can see its pelvis went up. Now that doesn't mean that I couldn't make a throw like this, and now my head's over here. So that's the reason why I was trying to say, for me, I don't have to really think about where my right hand and arm throwing motion is. If I make the compound pivot shift over and my arms just follow the torso and my grip is correct with the right correct driver, whichever one, the right lead and lie, then this, I'm in a throwing position right here to now shift over and then let it go. And again, I'm not even thinking about my hands though when I'm doing that. The pendulum whip is really fast. It's something that a lot of people would love to feel And it's only in a select few times that I really feel at maximum where, I really wound up and I get right here and my lag is almost like here. And it literally, I almost feel the club in my whole body stop. And then this thing just whips. And by the way, you can't control how far that goes because it's just it's such a big pendulum. But it's fun to do with a driver on open holes. I think timing. I'm big, 6'3". Yeah, I'm 6'3". That's okay. Yeah, it's no big deal. Cool. So yeah, so you usually what most people do if they're only 96 miles an hour is they're going to lose the. So you can even this is what I call a slingshot, which I like because when you swing it and you snap it, it'll snap out there because that's where the arm extends. I think a lot of people kind of try it and try to they extend it early. Usually, and go back and watch a little bit of this beginning of where I talked about practicing and keeping this no wobble in the wheel and the feet, knees, and hips, and watch your pelvis. So your pelvis goes out much more than what you think to have support rate on that right leg like that. So, and again, I say if I'm standing in like a long line at food or something, and I'm tired, and I just kind of go, I'm tired. That's my pelvis moving, and I did that with my ankle, foot, and knee, and there's my head on center, and then there's my torso winding up. So practice that, right? Get that feeling, because then once you do this, man, you're going to be just real natural to get over here and then throw and have speed, and you'll be over 100 miles an hour like it's not a thing. You're a +3. Awesome, dude. That's great. 114, 10 years of grinding. I still find your advice useful. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But congratulations on the effort and the time that you've put in to be a +3 and 114. That's PGA Tour level, and that's great. And I'm glad that I'm helping you. That's not even appropriate. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's not either. All right. Non-golf questions. Anyway, all right. So yeah, using bands, there is a couple that I've kind of I've kind of done some with. There was one called an Ultimate Swing Trainer where you kind of like hook it to a door and you really work on the flexibility component part. I think that when people kind of get like there's a rubber band that you can put around your shoulders and you push your arms out. So like the shoulder, there's one that goes like that, and then you kind of push it away. The thing is though is if you see I do that, I didn't do a compound pivot. So it's still the secret sauce is the compound pivot. I promise you. And a lot of people that think they're not flexible can all of a sudden kind of go, "Oh, I can make this walking and turning motion. It's much easier to do than this. Look, I'm not near as flexible this way. Watch. See? So, and that's an incorrect move off the ball. All right. We'll see if we can ask honest, appropriate questions. And I was talking about the two-hand measurement. That's the one thing that a lot of people don't get is the hand being here and then bringing the knee in to get the hand under to make sure. Most people try to grip it and their pelvis is like this when they grip their golf club. And then from there, you really can't make the correct sequence of motion. So everything's opposites. So when you're here like that, then you can make that motion. Thank you, man. Oh yeah, thanks. All right. All right, and also, like I said before, and I have to mention it a few times because this is one of the most things is I'm trying to give back to the game. So go to the arcadeswingking.com and you put in the code "Save Me Money," and you're going to get 50% off on all my deals for 24 hours. So you can buy as many Zooms as you want and memberships, etc. And that basically includes once a week you send in a video of your golf swing. I tell you what I see that you're doing, and then I make a personal little video for you that I send of what I want you to do. So real beneficial there. All right. So how do you keep your hands in front? I don't think about that. That is actually not true. So the hands don't do that. Okay. What it does is when I move my feet, knees, and pelvis, this goes with my torso. Okay. And since the golf swing is a circle, the same amount of the shaft that's here is what's behind me here. So if you watch and see, there goes my arm with my spine and my torso. And you'll see that's the exact same position that it was here. It's not here and here, like most people think, and then make a shallow move. I don't have to compensate. I'm not compensated. Shallowing is a compensation. Okay. So putting it straight out like so and then cogging the club up, now you've got to figure out a way to get it down and back inside on the plane that I'm on the whole time. And I'm on it by moving my feet, knees, and pelvis and hip like so. So you can see how machine like that is compared to having to try to keep my hands out in front and do something. Hope that helps. Hey Norm. Yep. So what are my number one good drill for wintertime is practicing the compound pivot, putting the shaft across your shoulders like so, and making sure that the feet are rolling from end to end like so, and the knees kind of going out towards the ball, and keeping the head on center. And then you'll notice, look at you see how the shaft stays the same. Now when I do it with a dowel, it's even more visual, which I did a little bit earlier. Okay. So see, there's no, what Mike Austin calls no wobble in the wheel. See, like that. That's what I'd have you do. And then put your arm out like so. Now that's my left arm. The right arm could just go along for the ride as well. And see, it's bending like it's supposed to. It's not going to stay like this because if my arm stayed out straight, my spine quit. My spine didn't move anymore. So when I'm here, see my elbow and my arm just stays right there. I would do those kinds of drills. Let's see. Let me scroll on up here. You guys are asking lots of questions, which is nice. How much pressure is there on the left-hand side and the right-hand side in case for left-handed? Oh, okay. So you're a lefty? My bad. So ultimately, as long as, and I have to do this with right hand. Sorry about that because I'm just not much of a, I'm not a left-handed golfer, so I didn't learn that skill, but show you. So as long as, this is for left hand, the grip is correct here, and as long as you can not move your arm or your forearm, and you can then make a semicircle like this, because that's a pendulum that's going to happen. It's actually a double pendulum, right? And so that double pendulum like that, as long as you can do that. So if I grip it tight, then I'm not going to be able to, and if I grip it too light, then it'll move around in my hands. Pretty simple answer there. Okay. Let's see. There is this product called Stack to help with speed. No, I don't. As long as you're doing the compound pivot, I don't care. Like I said, I like the slingshot. There's a speed toad. There's any of these things. If you do it, you're going to use it. You're going to get better. But try to have the correct sequence of how the joints move in the body. Can you talk about some of the misses and causes in this swing? There isn't. I wish there's not. It's a machine like. So, and I mean, so your hands are just kind of going along for the ride, like so, right? And the torso moves by the feet, knees, and pelvis and hip, and the golf swing moves in a circular manner because of it and unwinds. If you do it wrong, then obviously you'd have issues. The only issue that I've ever seen anybody have is they don't set the brace because they've been told to turn. And so watch what happens when I push my right foot and turn my body. Now the golf club will be wide open, but you're not doing it right. So you're not rolling the ankle and setting the pelvis left and then letting the club whip. There really is there's not a thin right or anything of that nature. It's a machine-like motion. All right, Henry, let's see. Thanks from Texas. You're awesome. On my golf game, can you explain what it means golf swing is a circle? Yeah. Well, it's actually a form of a semicircle because a full circle, it wouldn't, we can't make a full circle, right? So the amount of shaft that's in front of you at this angle is what's behind you. Now, the cool part about the compound pivot, see, I can take this with my hands and just swing it over my shoulder, just this wrist joint, which is what the right hand does, and or backhand, which is what the left hand does, and I can put the golf club in the proper plane. So understand that I can just move my hands and put them in the proper plane, and when I do, this pelvis has to go up, and I'm in the right spot. So you can do that if you want to. Me, I like the machine method where my hands and arms just go along for the ride, and they follow passively the turning of the torso by the ankle, knees, and hips, and the pelvis going up. And so when that happens, now there's my golf club in the right spot. See? And when I do that, watch what happens. See, and I didn't do anything with my hand and arm to put it there. Whereas if I use my backhand and my left hand, I now have to manipulate it to put it there. So and you could move it and do a lot of stuff without this happening. Because I even gave one of the Zooms today where the guy's, he's just picking the arm up. Okay. So he was trying to throw, but he was picking the arm up. See? So he's thinking what he was doing, but this wasn't moving. See? So this has to move. And this only moves by your foot releasing your gastroc, which moves your knee, which moves your pelvis, which allows it to then turn on that axis where you do that with the shaft. You're welcome. Right. So yeah. So if you do that up and then shallow, so it's a compensation. So it doesn't mean that you couldn't groove it, but just know that you're just going to be inconsistent. You're never going to beat someone that does this move day in and day out. That doesn't mean that you can't shoot a 63, 4, 5, or 6, but you just probably won't be able to back it up just because timing. See, I mean, how can I know where my hand is in space if I'm just doing this shallowing, or if I'm shallowing by not just dumping my hand or rotating my arm or making my left leg go external like a Genghis says to do, and then to get opposite that way, or any of those kinds of tricks, you're not going to be as consistent. Oh, thanks. What's my best round? 61. I know. I got one of our guys is a club champ. He shot 59 3 times now, so I can't beat him. How engaged? It's not. I'm not ever trying to. How engages my core? I'm never trying to do anything other than, so if I'm walking, then I'm moving from side to side. I'm not. It's engaged, yes, but it's not like I'm tightening my abs, right? I'm not trying to do any. I'm lazy, man. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do any intercostal pressure or any of that kind of stuff like that. I'm just literally moving my feet, legs, and hips. And there will be some obviously strength and core work that has to happen while this golf club is kind of whipping through with a brace. But I'm not sitting there trying to be like, I have to engage my core and my glutes. Right? No, I'm not doing that. Uh, Mark, I'm not quite understanding the question. What is the alpha way to hit a ball? Uh, I mean, well, it's what I'm showing, the compound pivot with a flinging motion of the backhand of the right hand and the right hand underhand throwing, kind of those are happening while you have a left leg brace like that, and that's what creates massive speed. It's a controlled violence though, so I think in an alpha way, I think you're probably thinking more of just trying to do that with the arm and all that stuff. But you'll never hit it past anybody who's has this whipping motion and someone who has a muscular motion. You never hit it further than a whipping motion. So more or less, you feel like you have dead arms. I think yes, absolutely, Chris. That's correct. Yep, my arms just go along for the ride with the turning of my torso, and right here it's done, and then this thing whips. Yeah. So all I'm doing is setting up a support post on my right leg for my body to turn around, and I'm setting it to a support post on my left for then the club to whip through and then turn. Bobby Jones, same concept. He was doing the same basic thing. You're talking or explaining yourself. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's fine. Yeah, some of the greatest did that. Bobby Jones did it where he had a little bit more of hip turn, but his foot really came in, and then when he came through, this part right here stalled, and yeah, absolutely, legendary ball striker. Yep, him and Mike Austin, Sam Snead did this quite a bit. Believe it or not, old videos of Ben Hogan, his right pelvis his knee and pelvis is up high like this, which means that when he came through, that his knee and pelvis was like that. So Jack Nicklaus, I can go on and on. They're great players. There's a reason for it. Demonstrate, sure. Explain my transition move. Yeah. So all I'm basically doing, so it's a 3 count. Okay. So roll the right foot after the 2-hand measurement. I roll the right foot in, my left foot rolls the club away, and then right in here, as I'm wound up fully, depending on the distance I want to hit the ball, I re-roll my right foot, which sets my left post, and then the club whips. Just like that. So I don't really, it's just it's literally a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, you see my leg is straight, 3. You're welcome, Henry. Thank you. I find working from clock times to full rotation is a great way to get the pendulum feeling. Okay. I never been able to go like, I think what you're saying is like, okay, if I go to 8 o'clock, it's going to go 22 yards. If it's 9 o'clock, I think that's what you're saying. I just have a feel. Mine is a feel of the length of swing. I'm not as analytical or someone as like a Bryson DeChambeau. Oh, by the way, Bryson DeChambeau does the compound pivot. There's a reason why that he hits at 150 miles an hour. His whole his whole left leg is out like this, and his right leg and hip goes back like that. And then when he drives it forward like so, then he corkscrews after he hits the ball like that. Then he corkscrews his foot, but he does the same compound pivot more or less. Trying to sign up and couldn't find a place to put the code. Oh, um, I, I think they set it up at. I think they were supposed. My team was supposed to set it up. Um, it might even be a link on this down low. I think it was like under Shopify or something like that. It should be where you just click right on it and it goes to it. And if that's the case, I'll get with them when I get off the live Zoom. But I'm going to make sure it's good, and it's going to go for 24 hours. So my putting. Oh, it's actually, yeah. This is I got this when I worked at Edwin Watts. This was a mat that they used, and one little part got tore up, and I said, hey, I'll use it. And underneath this is carpet tape, so it doesn't slide on my hardwood. And this is about 120-pound sandbag, so that doesn't move anymore. It was moving before I put the sandbag there, and then obviously the carpet tape. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Oh, my putty mat back there. Yeah. That's right. I'm sorry. Shoot. Pay attention to the details, Roger. Putty mat. Yeah, that's oh gosh, what was that? Perfect Putt. The one that Dustin Johnson used. I got a discount on it. I liked it. It's continued to be good. I don't. My putting's not really an issue, so I don't practice too much. Maybe if somebody comes over and I teach them or something, I have to help them. But yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I liked it. I like my pure putt. I mean, if you're going to practice putting, that would be it. Let's see. All right, so please explain again to demonstrate how to accelerate the golf club for more power. Oh yeah. So basically, when you do a compound pivot for more power, what you're going to try to do is you're going to make the right foot and the left ankle roll, which moves the torso. And the further that you wind this up through your feet, legs. Now look how much I wound up. Now that's with a sand wedge, for goodness sakes. I really wouldn't ever do it, but you can see how I get my hands over my head. So this could be like a 130 or 40-yard wedge, because what would happen is I wouldn't try to hit it with my arms now. I have a bigger circle. So when I shift over, you can see my lag is here. Now that's what I would do with a driver. That's my lag with a driver. I wouldn't do this with a wedge, right? But just explaining where the speed comes from. The speed comes from creating this motion here, which advances the arm, which then makes the hands come and then release with no tension. And you practice the grip, making sure that your arm doesn't move and that you can do this quickly, because that's the speed. And the faster you get with this and the more relaxed you get. So if I relax my hands too much, you'll see that my fingers open. Well, that's too light of a grip. And if I get too tight, I really can't do it. And if I get super tight, I can't hardly move it at all. So you want to have control. That's what it does. And I'm doing it with my left. It doesn't matter. You can still do it with the right. Same thing. Okay. So the right wrist joint doesn't roll over. So watch, it doesn't roll over. It goes under. Right. That's how the wrist joint works. See? So when you put them together and then you set the pivot from here, then you can whip. Okay. Like that. Hope that gives a good answer. So, and like I said, sorry if the link is not active yet. It will be. I'll make sure that I get with my team. Again, you got full 24 hours to do that, and of course, this video will run, on my page. If you just click on live, then you'll see that. Good. Any other questions? I hope this is informative. Yeah, don't be shy. appropriate questions, please. Yes. How do you ensure consistent low point in the swing? That's a great question. Is there something specific to focus on while doing the compound swing? Having issues on hitting a little behind the ball. Okay, so because most people don't have the two arm measurement set up, where the left hand is the radius here, and I'll use this like slingshot, like it's a say it's a driver. So what I'm doing is I'm going to push my pelvis and my knee and my foot in, and my knee then goes out towards the ball. By the way, it never goes like in because then your pelvis opens. So the knee kind of goes out like towards the ball. And what that does is that allows the right hand now to go under here. So your ball position will change a little bit by the lead and lie of the golf club. So a wedge will have more shaft lean and the grip will be stronger because that is how your hand moves. So you don't really see this on many videos. So this is where my driver would be, okay? And then that would be, see, I'm turning my hand, not moving my arm, turning my hand. And so that would be like where a wedge, so my wedge would be a stronger grip like so, and you turn your hands like a compass on a wheel, like that, on a compass, like that, see? So that changes the ball position too. So the ball position will be slightly further back with a wedge, like so, and then it'll go incrementally up. So the left hand and arm's the radius. The reason why is because when you come back and you shift over, the left elbow is bent here and it snaps straight in line with the club. And my pelvis is 6 inches forward, like so. You still can play golf this way if you wanted to do it this way, but it's real difficult because it's kind of hard to be level and have the hand under. Yep. So the whipping that happens at the bottom is just a product of the foot ankle movement. That is correct. I'm not adding any power to the whip. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Now, you might feel like that there, I have to be careful with that because I literally can say, okay, so let me go over here and let me shift and then just kind of shift slowly. And I'm not going to hit it I'm not going to hit it anywhere. So it's not like I'm saying not do anything. There has to be the intention. So when I'm here and I shift over here, I'm giving it, there's a stimulus. I like to, and Mike Austin said this, there's a stimulus and a response. So when I shift over, now my hand and arm will whip, and the speed that you want it to whip is the distance that the ball will help go. So to say, for me, I feel like I don't do anything, right? But again, so when I'm doing it, that's why I'm saying this is different. So when I'm doing it, you can kind of see when I'm here, I let it go. Whereas if I was here and just did it, obviously there's no speed there. So you still have to have, you still have to feel like you're giving it a throw once you set the pelvis. But I've built up my speed to where I look at the intention of the shot. So my brain isn't thinking like, okay, just let it do the work. Like it doesn't happen that way. Because what you're doing is you're setting up a support post on the left, and then now you can throw it as hard as you want. And this is a cool thing, real cool thing, that when you shift this over, you can release this thing as hard as you want, and it's going to be really, really hard from this position to try to get your arm to go over. Like this won't feel natural. So you're a victim of your own good motion when you set your pelvis here. Now you can unwind, and the arm stays in external rotation, like I talked about before, and the hand comes here, and then everything unwinds. Cool. I'm glad that makes sense. Yeah, I got to be careful. Sorry about that. I want to make sure what I feel is just an empty swinging little walking motion, but I've got a throw-in motion at the bottom that is just kind of built up, natural feel, where you guys might have to be like, hey, once you shift over, And practice that in front of a mirror. Just see my arm isn't moving just because, it's moving because it's being advanced by the shift. And then there's a throw. Yeah, do I break on the downswing? Yes, yeah, that's right. And which leg holds most of the weight? If so, it's all left. It's all left. So when I do this in a compound pivot, when I re-roll my right foot, that sets the left post. So there's about, maybe, if you put me on a pressure plate, there might be 5, 7, 8%, something like that. But I could literally just pick my foot up if I wanted to. But from right here, then the club whips. And when you do that, you can go, let's see if I can do it. You'll see it. You can see when I do this, and I'm going to kind of go hard here. You can see that I'm in, my spine angle stayed the same, and all my weight's on my left leg. Different than a long drive. You're not pushing down to then pushed away. Okay, you're not doing that. You're setting the support post on the left leg to now have the club whip. Hope you guys can see that. Do I maintain a feel of connection under left armpit throughout the swing? So I know, like Mike Austin would say, he feels a pec grab. I'm really against tension in a way. So for me, I just feel like my arm is just nicely brushing right here, and it's just kind of connected to it, and it doesn't really move away from it. So, but I just don't like that, because to me, that's like I'm putting my arm with muscle tension there. So I really want to create, I don't want to have the tension there. I just want it to be softly up against it while I'm moving. And I do feel the connection. I don't put extra muscle pressure into it. All right. A few more questions, and then I'll let you guys go. And I will have the website up with the code. Save me money, 50% off of everything for 24 hours. So I'm looking forward to working with a lot of people that I probably wouldn't get the opportunity to do that. And also that locks you in the membership on a much lower rate and that's recurring each month until you cancel. And when you cancel, of course, then it goes back to the regular rate. This is just a 24-hour, just trying to reach more people, just trying to give back. Yeah, any thoughts on turning the right forearm down to the downswing? Absolutely not. No, I don't. I'm not thinking about turning that way or anything like that, because that forearm doesn't roll like that. The right hand it goes under. The wrist joint goes under, and the arm extends. The left hand is what does the backhand. So I never ever try to do anything with my right hand and arm. So once I set this pec brace here, I'm now throwing this thing under. I don't feel throw under, but you need to if you're thinking about squaring the club face up with your right hand. You're a left arm puller, so what are some good drills to get away from it? Yeah, so you just go slow up here to the top, and then just slowly shift over, and don't feel that this arm did anything, and then let it whip, and then come back. Don't even think about the ground either. So just shift, let it whip. Okay? Because if you pull first, that you're getting that in front of the torso, right? So you're getting that in front of the torso, and there's not any weight transfer. So if somebody who gets up here and says they pull down like this, not only that, you have the shaft angle on this plane, and when I do the shift, you see how the shaft stays the same like that? But when you pull down, the shaft now is on a totally different plane, and you've got to do something now to try to shallow it or something to get it back on that line. So that's, again, a compensation is pulling, right? So that's the feel that I'd have you do. If you want to keep that, or you can do it with both, and you can do it with both hands. So then as you shift over slowly, again, just don't even think about the ground, just shift over to where the hands and arms are passive, like so. Now, some people will say, if you see this, that looks like I'm shallowing when I do that. You tell me, does the shaft stay the same line? It's staying the same line right there and right there. So that's why I know this is efficient circle motion is I'm doing this, looks like I'm shallowing, but I'm not. And now the golf club's in the middle of my body like a double pendulum, and then it releases. Is it right to think of the arms pulling the hips, torso on the back swing, and the hips, torso pulling the arms on the downswing? It it's not correct. Now that might be what your brain sees, uh, but it's not correct. Like, and I, just and it's wonderful that you asked the question. Okay, so if I just move my arm, that doesn't really necessarily move my torso. So when this is connected, and if I just move my torso, that's not correct either. See, so that's an upper body driven swing, and you see that my pelvis is going behind me. Now this is what most people will teach, and then they'll teach this kind of. I can't get out of the shifting correctly, but what they'll do is they'll go around this way. See, so when you make the walking motion that I teach with the compound pivot, then your weight is all on your right. Now the torso moves. Then you shift over with the right foot, which sets the left post, release the club, and then the body turns. So you can't mix the conventional method, which is more rotary and load your right hip back and here, and then squat down to shallow the shaft, and then come down and then jump up. Okay. You can't mix any of that with the compound pivot. You have to make up your mind which one you're going to use. I can teach both, as you see, and hell, I can play that way too. However, this compound pivot is the most efficient way and the fastest way and the easiest on the body, especially as a 52-year-old guy. This is an easy way on the body to move efficiently where this is not. And I think you guys can see that. So, all right. Pretty good. All right, guys. So, one more and then I'm going to leave you. Let's see. Oh, I have to get to the last page of the checkout process to be able to put the discount code in, and it does work when entered. Awesome. Thanks, Max. I appreciate you telling everybody that there towards the end. So that saves me a phone call and ripping them a new one. No, no, they're good people, and I wouldn't do that. So, all right, man. So appreciate that. So check the code, save me money, and go all the way to the end on the website, and that's where you put the code in. And I hope I can reach a lot more people that I didn't get the opportunity to help. And thanks for all you guys and the support and the questions and all of that. All right, man. Everybody have a good evening, and like I said, Happy New Year's and thanks for everything.